Yeah, all right, welcome back to Emotional Economics. Let's just pick up from where we stopped the last class. So recall, no, this was what we did in the last class, right? So today, recall that consumption is a function of capital minus N plus D, so that's output minus investment, okay? So the next thing is, okay, how is K determined? What determines K? Okay, we've already seen what determines N. So N, population growth rates, okay, is equal to N. And it's also like the amount of total investments that is devoted to the creation of new capital. Depreciation, um, so what determines this D? It's also the amount of investment that is used to cater to replace worn out capital. So, but then what determines K? What determines K? Alright, so how do we do that? So in the steady state, savings is equal to investment. Savings, like proper savings, is equal to investment, right? And if you remember from Keynesian economics, that's talking about the consumption function, where you have your MPC and your MPS. So MPC is between 0 and 1, right? So it automatically means that your MPS is also between 0 and 1. So this savings, for us to know saving on its own, so saving on its own is the saving rate, okay, multiplied by income. Y represents income, and in this place y represents output. Okay, so we are still talking about the same thing. So here what we are doing is national saving. So national saving is equal to the saving rates multiplied by the national output, like the GDP. Okay, and we know that you know y is a function of like the big Y, and so it's a function of K. So like S is equal to the saving rate and function of like K. So what we just have to do is like you divide through by labor. So this becomes saving per worker. Saving per worker is saying that the saving rate as a function of K. Okay, so let me just call this saving per worker too should be represented as a small s. So let me just call this sy. Okay, so let me call this guy sy. Let me call it sy. So that's saving rates. So the rate, and we know that from economic theory is zero lesser than saving rates. Okay, lesser than one. So when your sy, like your MPS, okay, your sy is, yeah, your MPS, so like it's lesser than, so that when you do okay, not okay, when you do ds, that will be ds dy instead of dy ds. Okay, change in income, change in savings. Okay, of course. If we want to get our MPC, is MPC not the C dy, or is it dy the C? Change in consumption as a result of a change in income, and that gives us B, which is the MPC. So here, change in change in savings, change in S, whenever I change in Y, give us SY. So this is our MPS in this case. So like it's lesser than 1. Alright. So maybe 0. 0.2, 0.5 or whatever. So now since we've expressed this in this form, so at equilibrium, we'll be having SYF, small s please, okay, as a function of K equal to investments N plus D. Okay. So when we equate the two, alright, what we are going to get is capital. We are going to get capital per labor, the steady state capital per labor. So we are going to solve exercises or an exercise and then you get an assignment 2. Alright. So for saving, so capital per labor 0, and then you have so we have saving small s, and then we have a small I here. So investment is still this straight line, right? And our saving, now because saving is just something multiplied by output, like a lesser number, some lesser than 1, multiplied by output. Let's say output were 10 and saving is 0.2, multiplied by 10. This is 1 over, this is going to be, 2. So in this case, the saving curve has the same shape as the output curve. What differentiates them is just that it is lower than the output curve. Alright, so where this is where s equals syf function of k, this guy I equals n plus d bracket k. So the capital that we get here is the steady state capital. Let me just call like K star. So steady state capital per worker. Alright, steady state capital per worker. So um above, like beyond the point, we see that investment is greater than saving. So even if in this economy these guys want a higher steady state capital per worker, the saving that they have is not enough to invest, in such capital per worker. Like, so it's just as if you get into the market and you can't afford what you desire, so you have to just go for something else that is, affordable. All right, so like at this point, the higher capital per worker is not affordable. So like this guy has to come in and maintain this point. And on points lesser than, let me just call this point A, for example. On point lesser than point A, around here, okay, investment is lower than saving. So which means there's extra saving. Okay, so when the extra saving that is put to use, you understand, it is used to acquire, more capital. So when extra saving is put to use, so that means the lower capital per worker will then increase, you understand, until saving equals investment again, and then we get to this point. Alright, so if you want to come here, it is not affordable, you get here. If you are here, there is a waste, you understand, or there is an inefficiency. So you have to, like, the extra saving is invested to increase the capital per worker. Okay, capital per worker is talking about like maybe like the amount of capital stock, that each worker gets. So out of the entire capital stock in an economy, the buildings, the airports, the flyovers, the dams, all of those things. So which one, when you divide through by the labor force, so how much of it, gets to individual worker? Understand? Equipment, factories, whatever. So that's what this is saying. So now, how then do we like bring the whole thing together? So we've mentioned this guys. Let me just superimpose output curve. So the output curve. So we had savings already equal to investment that's given us this steady state capital per worker. So the output curve can be something like this. Shit. Now that it's a straight line, I'll just let me manage my diagram. So I don't know. I do have issues drawing this stuff. Okay, that's a little bit better. It's actually going upwards. Alright, so at this stage, this is, so we are here. So point A, point B. So on the output curve, this is where this economy is. So the amount of, consumption, the amount of standard of living is then determined by, so this is the amount, and these guys are going to be enjoying up to get to point B, because that is what the capital per worker can afford. All right, so this is the amount of the standard of living, and the economy is, benefiting from. All right, so now what this is saying, productivity is constant. Okay, what this is saying is that, according to the Solow growth model, an economy would, in the absence of productivity, an economy would eventually reach a steady state equilibrium. Okay, or an economy will eventually reach a steady state. In the absence of productivity, an economy will eventually reach a steady state. And at that point, Capital per worker is constant, consumption per worker is constant, and output per worker is constant. So at that point, okay, so all of those things they are constant. So what this is essentially saying too is that um, what it is saying is that standard of living at a particular point, standard of living becomes stagnant because once you've reached your capital per worker, you understand. Once you reach the steady state capital per worker, whatever it is that whatever consumption that you are enjoying there per worker is the is the max like can go. You understand? So that means economies will reach steady state. So which means that a point will come for every economy where there would no longer be the possibility of an increase in standard of living. So that's just what this Solow model said that although that is in the absence of productivity, in the absence of productivity growth rates, okay, in the absence of productivity growth, so productivity is not growing, technology is not growing, you understand? So technology, they give it the level of technology is constant. So in the absence, so the economy is going to reach, every economy will reach, a steady state. So now there are ways in which economies can also improve their situation. Okay, so like what are the things that can change these points? You understand? So some of the things that can change it, your saving rates can change it. So if this economy, let me draw another one. Okay, so this is investment, steady state investments, N plus D. Okay, this is saving, um, sy function of k, and then this guy always gives me trouble. Okay, this is our um, what do you call this guy now? Okay, so this is our f of k. So if there's an increase in saving rate, an increase in saving rate will shift the curve, the saving curve. Initially, this is our for this guy. Initially, this is the steady state capital per worker. Okay, so now an increase in the saving rates. So what it does is that this person will then increase to something like this. So initially, this is point A, where the economy was enjoying this point B. But now that the saving rate has increased, shifted, so for every level of capital per worker, so there's an increase in the amount that is being saved for every level of capital per worker now. There's an increase in the amount that is being saved. So now the new steady state capital per worker is this place. This place. So you have K star, let me see 2. This guy increases here. Alright. Which I can call point C. Call this guy point C. And by the time you trace it to the output, okay, this is point D. And so you see that the consumption here from the origin 0, origin 0 to points to the gap or the gap AB, you understand? Origin 0 to, so it's something like yeah. So this representing the entire consumption initially, okay. Then it's now increased to something like this. No, this is meant to be bigger. Okay. So because there's an upward shift, so this is meant to be bigger. So from here, OPA is lesser than ODC. So because of an increment in saving, in saving rate, so the capital per worker has increased, and then the standard of living has also increased. So these people can keep, you know, increasing their saving rates. You understand? Until maybe they get to this point. You understand? But the thing here is that the conclusion of the pseudo growth model still holds, because an economy, no matter how an economy adjusts its saving rate, understand? No matter its adjust saving rates, it can never save 100% of what it produces. Okay, can never save 100% of what it produces. So that means people will not consume anything at all. So in as much as it can never save up to 100% of what it produces, there's already a limitation. So the best you can do, you are going to do the best you can do, right? But then whatever is the point that the best you can do gets you to, that's just where you're going to be. That's the maximum standard of living that you guys can enjoy, right? So this is talking about saving rates, how saving rates affects equilibrium. Okay, how saving rates affect equilibrium, or effect of saving rates. Now there's another one, which is like effect of the population growth rate. Effect of the population growth rate. So let me just use this guy. This is the output. So maybe, so I'm not using okay, this is output. Then this is saving. So let me draw something. Draw something. Okay, capital per worker, 0. This is our investments, and initial saving shares. Okay, is our initial saving. Okay, SY function of K, and N plus D. Okay, right, and then our initial output. Always problem, always. Okay, is our initial. Oh shit. Okay, so yeah, something like this. Let us manage this. Okay, so this was our initial capital worker. Okay, now if there's an increase in the population growth rate, we call that population growth rate is the same thing as this n in this place, the rate at which the economy produces new capital. So if there's an increase in population growth rate, it simply means that n plus dk would increase. All right, so that's our investments, n plus dk. So because of an increase in this person, there's going to be an increase in this person. So an increase in population growth rate increases investments. All right. And when we have an upward sloping curve, an increase is going to be okay coming. So an increase in investments, there's going to be an increase in the population growth rates. Does it? Okay. It simply means that this guy, our investment line, is then going to be, something like this. Investment line becomes something like this. It takes an higher amount of investment at each level of capital per labor. It now takes a higher amount of investments. The investment is on this axis. Okay, so as before, instead of this level of investment, so I can have like a level of investment higher up here now. So just something like this. So at each level of capital per labor, now there has to be an increment in investment due to the increase in population growth rate. So why is that the case? because there is the capital per labor must be maintained for every person in this economy. The capital per labor must be maintained. So if I'm enjoying like maybe 30 capital, if capital was something I could explain in just numbers. So if each laborers have been enjoying like 30 capital before, is that so when population begins to rise, so the additional people too must also get equal amounts of what others have been getting before. So that means they must also get 30. You understand? So that's like what happens. So you have to like maintain that capital per worker, ratio. You understand? So population is growing by 2%. K2 has to go by 2% to maintain K over N or K over L. Understand? Population grows by 5%. Capital also has to grow by investments in capital also in new capital also has to grow by 5% to maintain that amount of capital per worker. So like that's what is happening there. So if you now see this in equilibrium, the impact of this is that S investments and saving, okay, it's resulting into a lower steady state capital per worker, a lower steady state capital per worker because more of your output now is being devoted into investments than before. More of your output is being devoted into investments than before. So that means it's going to be reducing what you have for consumption. So the standard of living is going to reduce. Standard of living is going to reduce. So initially, consumption was everything here. Okay, so like maybe O A B initially that was consumption. O A B. But now, uh, consumption is investment. Okay, now consumption is this is the new investments. So you have O, yes, OEF. So an increase in population lowers the steady state capital per worker ratio and then it lowers consumption per worker. Okay, which already means that it lowers standard of living of every citizen in that particular country, right? So now, what are the things that you can take from this? For an economy to enjoy a maximum standard of living, at its best steady state, you understand? Or maybe there's something like that. So it has to increase its saving rates. So increments in saving rates is going to lead to a higher standard of living. We've explained how that is going to happen. So it also has to like control its population growth rate. That is, it has to like work on lowering its population growth rate. You understand? Lowering it. Because here, population growth rate increased and the standard of living fell. So that means population growth rate has to reduce for standard of living to rise. Okay, standard of living of the people um, to rise. All right, but all of these adjustments, at the end of the day, there's a limit to which you can control your population growth rate too. You understand? And there's a limit to how much you can save. So when you do all of these adjustments, you eventually get to a steady state where you can no longer do anything else. Right? So you get to a steady state where the standard of living is maximized. Like there's nothing else you can do. So it's just trying to tell us that all economies will get to a point where they are doomed. Something like that. You get something like what Malthus too was saying. So all economies should just get to a place where there can't be any further increment in standard of living. All right. So, but what can lead to an increment in the standard of living in the long run? You understand? So this is saying that saving rates, saving rate, population growth rate, they don't lead to any increase in standard of living in the long run. So what can lead to standard of living in the long run? It is now going to take us back to that variable that we held constant, which is productivity. So an increment in productivity, you understand, is going to lead to an increment in the standard of living of countries in the long run. So that is why the Solow model concludes that the only thing that determines long run um, growth rate, long run standard of living, long run growth rate and long run standard of living is productivity growth rate. And if you look at it in real life, if you look at economics, like it has to be inventions and innovations. You understand? Invention. So when they just lead to a drastic jump in what economies have been producing before. When the technology comes in, it increases productivity of everybody. Output grows. It can be an exponential growth in output. You understand? So that is what this model is concluding at. The only thing that can lead to growth rates in the long run is productivity growth. What is held constant all along. So when there is an increase in productivity growth, obviously it's leads to an increase in output. What workers, you understand, have been producing initially, they are going to be producing more. You understand? Now that productivity has increased compared to before. Okay, so if we try to analyze that, I did I remove of everything. So if we try to analyze that, we have this. This is n plus t, k. So this is saving k sy function of k, and then this is output. Okay. So initially saving equals investment. So initially this was k star, steady state capital per labor, and this was like the consumption point A, point B. So this is output y equals function of k. So productivity leads to an increase in output for each amount of capital per worker. So productivity is to output. Output is no longer going to be this guy. Output now output increases. Oh wow, I think it's kind of much more better this time around. So this is going to be like y2 is a function of k. So remember that I not put k2 because it was not k that's initially increased. Like that's not what just quickly happens. So you have this, right? So um, for this same amount of capital per worker, instead of consumption to be AB, consumption is now going to be AC. Consumption is now going to be AC, right? So you can see each level of capital per worker here. So look at it. So now um so initially um OPA was the consumption per worker steady state. But now what you have is OCA. And in fact, that's first thing that happens. That's the first thing that happens. Now recall that saving is a function of income, right? Saving is SY um SYY, right? So an increase in output would also increase saving again. So initially, increase in productivity, increase output. So that increase in output, you understand, would also increase saving. So saving will kind of, this was the initial saving. So saving will kind of rise. So let's say something like this. You understand? So that the new steady state labor capital per worker is now this. You understand? So first thing, output grows, you show it. Now, after output has grown, saving grows, and this is now like the final thing that might happen. So D E. Okay. So now instead of enjoying OAB, see how different it is. Instead of enjoying zero, zero AB standard of living, you are now enjoying zero ET. See the jump start in standard of living. So on this axis, so you've plotted investment, you've plotted output, and then you've plotted saving per worker. Investment per worker, saving per worker. So that's what we have on this axis. So you have to know how to properly label your graphs too. You understand? So now, so this is the conclusion of the Solow model, that the only thing that leads to long-run economic growth is a change in productivity, like a growth in productivity. So after this economy has reached this stage, let's say that initially it had adjusted its saving and population growth rate, that done the best it could do, and this was where it was. Look at a jump in productivity led to an increment in standard of living, and if there is another increase in productivity, of course, it keeps taking it, higher, higher. Output continues to like go higher. The steady states capital per labor begins to go higher too. Standard of living, which is measured by the consumption per worker, also begins to go higher. All right. So I don't know if we still have time. We don't have time anymore. So, like, see in the next class, one we'll be talking about the highlights of the Solow group model. It's all about the highlights, and then you have an assignment. So, your assignment, let me just say, go look for the criticisms, like 5 criticisms of the Solow group model. Okay, now how do you criticize? First, you look at assumptions. So, what are the assumptions that are not practical? So, you criticize from there. Then you also look at the explanation, you criticize from it too. Yes, I mean, and maybe find outcome. But I think you start from assumptions. There are some assumptions that don't make sense. Yes, that's so you criticize from that point. And then, so what have we said? Well, maybe I should just help you out with one. So this guy is saying that it's better to reduce population growth rate. But if you reduce population growth rate, that means there are fewer workers now. So total output is going to fall too. You understand? And we are kind of assuming that the additional worker that you have to equip when your population grows is not going to contribute to the economy. So if you have 3 workers before, and now that you have 4 workers, is total not supposed to increase? So why should an addition of a worker now lead to something that is reducing the standard of living of others, or the standard of living of everybody, generally? So that's another criticism. Just study and just bring up 5 criticisms of the solo model. All right, so see you next class. Thank you.